First thing I'm going to do is my prime coat, clearly. Now, the bit that's odd, but I really want to impress, is because at the end of the day I'm going to be putting a mirror in here. Is the mirror reflects what's behind the rebate. So the first place we can make sure we've got a little bit of paint on every single frame is actually in the rebate. This is the bit you won't see from the front until you put a mirror in it, and the moment you put a mirror in it, you'll see the wood or the black or whatever's behind it. It'll reflect the dirty underbelly. So there's the rebate painted with a bit of primer. Now maybe the final colour that we use, I may put a bit of that round at the very end, but we'll see how the whole thing looks. So then stage 2 is the painting of the frame. And so I'm not going to do all the frame. I'm probably going to do the bits where I want the paint to stick, and the bits where I want it to come off I'm actually going to kind of avoid. So there's a bit of trickery pokery going to go on here, and you can just tell the quality of this stuff as it goes on. It's a superb primer. So that's it. That's me. I've kind of primed the bits I want. I've kind of got areas where there's little bits of prime but not all over. That's quite deliberate. The only thing that is worth, again, the point worth making is the return to the rebate. That little tiny couple of millimetres of frame that really kind of is so easy to neglect. That's the bit that, again, if it looks too shoddy, it looks wrong. So whilst we're going for shabby chic, don't let that bit be too shabby, and it will create the illusion nicely. And you know, realistically, I'm not going to bore you with this, but it's just a question of getting each coat on. Now I'm moving on to the brighter colour, the big sort of you know, layered on top of the yellow, this sort of orange, lovely, rich. And I'm letting this one go on quite thick, so there's more of this is going to ultimately burn through, really. Or I've got more depth to play with. So there we go. Now, as I said, I let this layer go on quite thick, quite deliberately, and what I'm getting in here now is some brush strokes. And I'm leaving them in. I mean, obviously, if this was a bespoke finish, you know, one flat colour for somebody, and it was, you know, it wasn't shabby chic, then I wouldn't be wanting those in. But the fact I've got some brush strokes burning through here is just fabulous. And I'm going to leave those, and it's dried very nice with a few brush strokes coming through. So we're on the last colour, which is our prominent colour. Very, very bright, striking kind of colour. Now, I've watered this down just a fraction today, because some of the brush strokes and some of the cracking on here I'm already liking. So I've watered that down a little bit so that it's sort of going to go on a tiny bit thinner, and also so that, because we're kind of, once this prominent colour's on, the last colour's on, the top colour, we're then at the stage of about halfway, really. We're at the stage where we'll start taking all the paint back off, and we'll start, you know, creating the effect we want. Now, because this is the top colour, the last colour, then the first thing to mention, the first thing we need to make sure we do, strangely, can you guess, is the rebate. So what we need to do is just a little bit of work on the rebate here. So, Perfect. Straight over. And we'll just crack on. Oh wow, look at that. It's going to look fabulous. Once we start taking this paint back off, it's just going to be wonderful with the orange kind of coming through the red, the yellow beneath the orange coming through that, the white coming through that, then the brown and then the wood. You know, there's a lot of layers here. Great, so that's that done. Our top coat's nice and dry, it's good coverage. I'm ready to start taking the paint back off to reveal what's underneath. To do that process, then it's a whole different workbench. I've got some wire wool, I've got a fine water spray misty thing, got some clean rags, plenty of clean rags. I've got, if I need it, a razor blade, which I'm kind of hoping I won't need. I've also got some sandpaper, which I really hope I don't need. That's kind of a last resort really, and I'm kind of hoping not to need that. And then I've also got some nice waxes to kind of finish the job off and to sort of provide a top coat. So the plan is we use initially the water and the wire wool to very gently start the process off, and then the rag. And I'm going to show you how it's done first and then maybe talk you through it very slightly. So I'm hoping what you can see there is that lightly wetting the frame or wetting the wire wool, it doesn't really matter. Now when I'm rubbing the wire wool, I'm not actually rubbing enough to reveal the paint beneath. Maybe I'll do it on this bit up here where it's all fresh. I'm not rubbing so hard that the paint comes off and you can see the effect. I'm actually doing it really quite gently, and then it's the rag that brings the paint off. So the wire wool's kind of scratching the surface so the rag can lift the paint off. So I'm not rubbing with the wire wool so much as to bring everything through. I mean, I can escalate to that, because the point is really is to start off gently. It's very easy to take a layer off and then go back and take another layer off and then have a look and take another layer off. If you go in a bit heavy and you take too much off, then obviously you've got to reapply some coats and wait overnight and wait for it to dry. I'm hoping you can see the orange here starting to burn through and the effect starting to come through. So I'm going to work on that now and just kind of keep bringing more and more layers through, and we'll see what sort of thing we've got at the end of it. Wow, and here we are. So this is kind of where I've got to here with the sort of aging and distressing. I like the way that the yellow's coming through the red. We've got patches of white coming through the yellow and the red, and then we've got some black coming through as well. So we've achieved kind of all the colours burning through. The couple of points to maybe point out, I think one is that if you think about it, the place where the most wear is going to occur is on the high points, and the little tiny high points. I mean, you probably can't see it very well, but you'll see it on a frame at home. well, you've got the obvious bit, but then you've often got a little line, there's a little something, and there's a nice high point running all the way around here. Picking that out. So any sort of high points, any raised points, I tend to really kind of work on and bring those up. The other place that I'll tend to really kind of focus on are the corners. Because again, they're going to be the places where you know, where you are going to get the wear, the knocks and stuff. So I tend to kind of get stuck into the corners somewhat as well a little bit, and especially this corner. Was it this corner? Hang on. Oh, this one here. Particularly pleasing that actually while working on it, you know, a bit of the corner actually come away, a bit of the wood came away, and it just, you know, really adds to the whole shabby chic look that we're going for. And I've just got a little bit of my wax here, and all I'm going to do is just brush a little bit on. You'll find it'll turn the contrast up very slightly as well, which again is lovely. It's kind of what we want. I tend to like to brush a bit of wax on, don't necessarily need to do it all. I tend to like to brush a bit on and then take it straight off. You're not going to get it all off because it's not going to dry, but effectively I'm going to rub it back, and then what I'm going to do is, you know, carry on, let that all dry, and then buff it, you know, sort of with a dry rag once, you know, after about half an hour or something, and then I'll probably set about it with a slightly darker wax as well, just to sort of maybe age in the corners and things like that. But I'm going to finish that off now with my two waxes. Et voila! That's it. The wax is on. I used quite a lot of dark wax in the end. It's given some streaky elements to it, where I've brushed it on, let it kind of dry, and then just taken it off gently. You don't need very much, and it's just brought the colours and the effects out a little bit more, which is exactly what we want. So all that remains for me now is I'll pop some glass in this, put some fittings on it, and I'll show you the finished article. And there we go. Mirrors in, as you can see from the reflection. Kind of finished article, really quite pleased with that. Also pop fixings on the back, so we're ready to hang. And realistically, that's it, we're ready to go.